Good afternoon. As I said, I'm the division chief of, the office chief at research for Caltrans. My main areas of responsibility are the liaison for division of equipment, division of maintenance, right-of-way land surveys, and most of the safety research that we do in Caltrans. As safety research, one of the things I do is I'm in charge of a crash test unit. And I'm bringing this evidence because DOE is a big partner in this. When we crash test a vehicle, I have to go out and purchase it and meet certain requirements. And DOE gets the vehicles for me. Some of these crashes are required for tort liability where we're getting sued. So we go out and have to test like an Infinity car. And when you go to buy it, you only have like 24 hours to cut them the check. DOE's been a great partner for us, and they've been able to cut the check relatively quickly for us so we can go out and do these crash tests to prove either a tort liability case or to prove that our stuff out there is safe. So not only am I the liaison to help them with their stuff, but I'm also a customer of DOE, so it's important that whatever they do as most efficient, they help me. So that's one of the things we do. Okay, my outline today is I'm going to talk about what DRY-SI is, Division of Research, Innovation, and System Information, how it helps the DOE and maintenance in Caltrans. And then I'm going to talk about some of the equipment research that we have ongoing and what we're going to be doing in the future and why we're doing it to assist DOE. Okay, our whole purpose, each state DOT has a research department. They have what's called SP&R Part 2, which is 25% of the total state planning resources from feds that has been earmarked to help research. The biggest SP&R Part 2 research programs are Texas and California. We have big research programs in those two states, while other research programs like West Virginia has one person. Idaho right now, the only person there is Ned Parrish at Idaho, but he's damn good. But each of your DOTs has a dedicated research section that is supposed to support your divisions and your fleet operations out there. So this does have applicability to you because if you do have a problem, you do have the resources set aside in your DOT to help pay for some research out there to assist you with it. And what you also need to understand about research is we're not the classic research like you would think about in university where they go out and they try to, they look at something and say, well, what is this going to lead to? In research for transportation, it's applied research. And what that means is our customers come to us and say, I have this problem, I need this solution, and then it's my job to hire the right vendor or the right people to go out and design or develop a solution for your problem. So when it comes down to it, a lot of research that's done like in the medical field or even in the area of electronics, if they have a 5% implementation rate of their research, they are super successful because if Pfizer comes out with a new drug that they can sell for $1,000 a pill, they're going to recoup their money quickly. So just one success makes it for them. In applied research, we're actually looking at an implementation rate of at least 70%. So we want to have the results that we give to our customers be implementable 70% of the time. And we shoot for that, and sometimes it takes a long time, but normally our research will get implemented over time. It just seems like it takes forever. Okay, so this is our mission to provide solutions and knowledge to improve California's transportation system is what we do. Now, how we do this, Division of Research in Caltrans used to be, you'd come to us and say, I have this problem. We'd say, great. We go get our partner who did the research. 4 years later, we come back to you and say, here's the answer. And Bob, who's now the new division chief, would look at me and say, well, I didn't ask for this, and that's no longer a problem, so thank you, but no thank you. So what we found out is we've had to retool and redirect how we do things in the Division of Research. So instead of just doing this standard deliver research project, which is down in the left corner, we now do research as kind of a tactical research and a strategic research. So what we do is we've now do a thing called conduct preliminary investigations. In Caltrans, and some other states do this, not all states, we have on retainer a contractor who, at a moment's notice, we can go to them and say, hey, our customer wants to know about heavy vehicle mechanics injury rates. How does every other state do it, and how does fleets do it? Well, before, we'd go out and do a research project. Well, now I have a guy on retainer who will go out there, and in 30 days of getting this problem statement, we'll do a literature review, a simple survey, come together, and come back in around 4 to 6 weeks with a sheet of 25 pages that says, this is the standard out there. Idaho does this, Illinois does this, UPS does this, and it gives a baseline of what goes on. These things are quick, low cost, quick turnaround, and a lot of times we find that someone's already has already had the problem, and we've already solved it. We've had plans where we got it back where Utah has come up and has a whole standard operation procedure. We give it to maintenance. Maintenance crosses out Utah, puts California, boom. We've answered it, we moved on, and there's no research that's done on it. So this is something we do. We've been doing this a lot more recently, and we've had a lot of good feedback from our customers of it being working. The next thing is the support innovations needed for Caltrans practitioners. And this is just basically technology transfer, where we go out there, we identify who's out there doing stuff, bring them all together, and we share the information so then Caltrans can make a decision. The example being, we started a project, I believe, back in 1998 called Snowfighter. And the whole idea behind Snowfighter was to develop GPS tracking, being able to put information that the person on the ground in the truck could go out there and tell where his plow trucks are, know what the condition of the weather is, and everything else. 1998, we started that research. In 2012, we got to the point where we said, hey, we developed something. We looked around and said, well, why do we need it? It's already available, Verizon, all these other companies. So what we did is we killed the project. It's unfortunate, but we spent all that money, but we killed it. But we decided that then what we did is we gathered all the people who sold it or who's using it, and we've shared it with Caltrans, and from there we're making our AVL decisions. The next area we're talking about is delivering research products. That's just basically where we get a problem, we go out, we do research because no one else has an answer, and we come up with an answer for our customers. And the last thing, we have service national engagement. As you all know from this morning, NCHRP is the national research program. Each state puts an amount of money into NCHRP based on how much money their SPNR is. So this is where, Idaho, who only has one person because they have a small SPNR, doesn't put that much into NCHRP. Caltrans, we put $4.5 million into NCHRP to help pay for the national research that we all benefit as an AASHTO group. So what my job as a liaison is, if I get a problem, it's my job to pick one of these 4 categories, or maybe 2 of these categories, that I will then help get an answer from my customer. Okay. Research program governments, basically this slide is just to tell you that the way it's set up is we're customer focused. So each customer has a technical advisory group down at the lowest level who comes up with the problems. So these are your mechanics, these are your safety supervisors, these are your winter maintenance people who come up and say, we have this problem. They then share it up the chain, up to their division chiefs at maintenance or DOE, and then from there it goes up to management, and management selects which research projects we use. At the same time, management sets what's our priority, because we have a strategic plan saying that the most important things for Caltrans are safety, efficiency, stewardship, and those go back down the other way so the technical advisory panels know how that works, so that, that we make sure that our research matches our strategic plan. For division equipment, currently my technical advisory panel are these 2 people, and the plan is with Bob that we're talking about is maybe to expand this out to get some of the more district people so we can get more focused research that has a district or a focus farther down, and that's something we're looking at forward and moving forward hopefully in the near future. But these 2 are awesome, so I'm still having very good luck with that as is. Okay, this is, if I was giving this to Caltrans, I would say this is the steps to doing it. But the most important thing that you have to get out of this is the center point. We do not do any research unless it is implementable. If you come to me and you want information, my first question is, how are you going to use it? You'll be surprised on how many times people will say, well, I'd like to know. Like to know is good, but if you can't use it, then why am I going to spend $300,000 on this? or 3 years of my time, or my researcher's time, or your time, because you have to review the research. So the most important thing with any research is you must understand how to implement it from the very beginning. If you do not know how to implement it, don't put a dime to it. And that's what we push in the Division of Research and Caltrans. Okay, so is that boring enough? We'll talk about the fun stuff. Equipment research. Now, as I said before, we support DOE with preliminary investigations, technology transfer, basic research, and some national funding research. So let's talk about the first thing. Preliminary investigations. Basically, like I said, they're quick literature reviews or surveys to find the current best practices. In the last 3 years, we've succeeded in doing 4 of them for division equipment. Using remote control motors, that's kind of a joint one between maintenance and DOE. As you saw yesterday, they've had the remote control mowers. That was some of the stuff gathered from that was beneficial for picking which mowers we do evaluations on. Currently, those mowers are now in a research project where we have University of California, Davis evaluating them out on the roadway to tell you, not only to find out which are the best ones, but also to help generate how to purchase more down the road for DOE. And also, what we're trying to do for maintenance is developing codes of practices on how to train your people so they're certified so they can use the mowers. So that is something that's generated. So this PI started here, but is now generating a research project that will then be implemented by training or by purchasing more of these items if they prove to be useful. Crack cleaning is another item we're looking at, and then of course the heavy duty mechanics. Just yesterday, the 3rd, we now have a draft one where we're looking at cold adhesive for raised pavement markers. That's just as draft as of yesterday, and we're reviewing that. The idea being that we use hot applied bituminous adhesive that has VOC issues, exposure issues, so we're looking at maybe if we're going to be putting raised pavement markers, can we use something, and what other states have used it. And other states are using it, so we're using their practices to determine if we want to use these in Caltrans. Support innovation needs for Caltrans practitioners. Basically, this is just technology transfer. This was new. We'd done some small things before, but this last year, in 2016, DOE came to us and said, we want to know more about AVL. You know, maintenance wants to install it, DOE wants to install it, but we want to know what the best practices are out there, who are the best people doing it. So what we did is we, using our our research budget, hired a consultant who set up a meeting last October where we brought people in from all over the United States, DOTs, Salt Institute. We brought some of the Salt Institute, didn't we? I believe so. Even people from Canada who came out there and they told us their best practices for using AVL. We had people from maintenance, DOE, we packed the place. And they all learned about what the state of the art, what were the advantages and the disadvantages of using AVL. We generated a report from this. This was given to DOE and maintenance, and now maintenance has an RFI to go out and purchase AVL. So what our research program has done is we've created a method of getting the information that you need now to make decisions, informed decisions, to help your business practices. Our next one we're going to do is, that was successful, we're going to do a corrosion peer exchange. We're looking at April of next year, where again we'll bring in people in the area of corrosion to share practices. We were trying to get this done this month or November, but it just didn't work out with everything going on. But the idea of bringing new corrosion practices to help our corrosion fighting issues for fleet. We do 2 basic types of research for division of equipment. It's usually over efficiency in business practices, or it's over worker safety. So like earlier, yesterday, UC Riverside came on, gave you a 2 presentation on replacement of a production and procurement practice and replacement methods. Those were research projects that we instigated for DOE. It came out of, we funded it. We hired the researcher and they gave the results, and that's just wrapping up now, but it's to help them doing their work. Hydrogen sweeper, Bob talked about that before. This is a research project that is a joint venture between research, maintenance, and DOE. DOE came to us and said, hey, we're going to buy some sweepers. We have this option to buy a hydrogen sweeper. Do we have some research money to maybe pay for this, or do we have some maintenance money to get this evaluated? And all the three came together and said, this is what we want to do. So we ponied up some extra research money to help procure this item along with the DOE money. And then maintenance is going to come up and pay for some of the evaluation. Right now I have a research project coming on board where we're going to evaluate the efficiency of this vehicle versus a CNG vehicle versus a diesel versus a hybrid. The idea is showing how well it operates in addition to knowing how much greenhouse gases emissions will reduce by doing this stuff. So this will be stuff that we then use if we ever do a BCP to buy more of these, this will be the research that will help justify, because it's an independent contractor who's doing the work. The next thing we do is, of course, we do reduce worker exposure. Anything that we can do to get boots off the ground is something we do. So here was a good example. We did a research, remote control, we looked at the remote control mowers. Before that, we did what was called, we were looking at ways to clean out our culverts. We had water quality issues. Our culverts were never cleaned. We were getting sued. So we're looking for easier ways to do culvert cleaning. To do culvert cleaning with a full crew, you have 4 people out there, a vac truck, you're talking days to clean some of these culverts so they're overfilled. Additionally, these culverts have these problems. These are some of the culverts. You have snakes, you have limited space. This is not a good environment for your workforce. So we did research on this, the tunnel mucker. And the tunnel mucker was a success, I can say. This machine we bought, and we used it, and it was used in all 12 districts in Caltrans. It was used so much, we wore it out. I mean, honest to God, it was broke. Every district that went to swore that this is what they wanted to. It was well received by the people, and from this is what we generated. Now we're doing remote control mowers. We're just finding it safer, more efficient, and it operates very well. We also supported DOE because we had a problem with a non-competitive bid, and we went out and helped them generate some of the non-competitive bid documentation. I don't know if it worked, but we tried. We talked about the autonomous TMA truck. We were Caltrans, me and Teresa Drum of maintenance went there. We saw the demonstration. I must applaud Colorado. They took a big risk on this, and I don't know if you understand, but buying the very first autonomous truck, serial number 1, is a risk, and I applaud your management for taking that step. They're looking, though, Colorado at the end of it, there's some issues, and they're working through them, but one of the things that was asked us by Colorado was, hey, we need other states to step up. Well, we came back, and my deputy, Steve Takegawa, you saw here, is committed. We're going to buy one. And they're talking about a pooled fund to generate guidance on how to help get the next generation. We're committed to do that. So as soon as Colorado jumps up there, we're going to join it. We're going to spend our money. We're going to help assist with this. Because you got to realize, Colorado bought the Alpha Vision. This is the iPhone 1, basically. And we want the iPhone 10. Well, the next one we buy is probably going to be the iPhone 2, because it's going to have some corrections, but it's still going to need work. And only by the DOTs being involved with industry will this technology get to the point where it's going to be something of savings. But we're committed, just like Colorado. This is not an efficiency drill. This is not to free up an operator or anything like this. The whole reason behind this research that we're going to commit to is that we want to remove. Okay, basically the whole reason I was showing that is the one picture that you didn't show in your thing was when it goes by and there's no one in the vehicle, it's a wake-up call. And you can see this later on afterwards. I did test this beforehand, but there's no one in that seat. It's quite a risk. Yeah, they're actually worried about how are people going to handle that. Are they going to try to jump in front of it to stop it just because they're afraid that it's a danger out there? But Colorado's doing it, but we're committed to help it. Another item we did was the Pothole Patcher. This was actually a failure, but it's a success. What do I mean? Caltrans, when I just started with the district, we lost a person filling potholes. In our system of pothole patching, you look out there, you get a gap, guy runs out there, throws out some cold mix, pats it down, and runs out and hopes he doesn't get hit. Every state has that. So we've been committed to looking at automation. This, the Python patcher that came out, it was version 1. It wasn't even legal in California because it didn't have the right engine. So we actually bought it, redesigned it, put a new engine in it. We got it to work. It works excellent. It worked great on filling potholing. The problem was the truck wasn't ready. So we found out that it would generate great stuff. And we're committed, so we keep on calling Python about every 6 months. When are you going to have the new one? When are you going to have the new one? Because this technology uses a hot mix. It has a great production rate. It works great, but it's just the truck does not work yet. But when it comes out, and if we can get this into the fleet, this will reduce the danger to our staff. But it has promise, so we're hoping that this technology becomes roadworthy in the near future. But it's lucky that we did the research, because if we had just gone out and bought 12 of them, which would have been the plan, we would have 12 lemons sitting in Caltrans right now. So we proved that the technology works, and we're just hoping that it catch up with it. Well, that's pretty much my presentation. I hope if you have any questions about it, we have all our research reports are available. We work with Ned, all your researchers in your states, if there's anything that they can help with. We are making a commitment. We're going to work with Lisa to redraft your NCHRP problem statement and submit that this year for you.
Okay, I'll make this real quick. So Judith Corley, who was here, has already taken that problem statement. She marked it up and has given it to Bruce, so it's probably in pretty good shape, and we'll get that problem statement. She got us started on it, is all I want.
Thank you for your time.
The preceding video was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found at tsp2.org. That's tsp2.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.